And welcome back to Lantern Corps videos. And some people ask for it. I get the puppy's back. Ooh, I could actually pet her if I wanted to, but she's snuggling down on her little perch there. But look, you get there we go. Butter the puppy, rub the puppy's butt, rub the puppy. Oh, okay, here's what. Now I can scratch the puppy's butt. You can. You're good, little baby. Anyway, Lantern Corps videos. So I've gone through the majority of the Naruto characters at this point. We've got one or two left, like main characters to go with, essentially, and then we'll pretty much be done. So this one we're talking about the Sannin. Now, each one of them could theoretically have their own video, but I figured I might as well just group them together. Sorry, there's a hole in my shirt. Might as well just group them together into one video. And we're going to do this video a little differently. I actually don't have the information right down to just say, okay, this, and this. But instead, we're basically just going to discuss which one, obviously, which corps they belong to the best. But we're going to go differently. We're basically just going to go down each Lantern Corps, one by one, and talk about each of the Sannin and see if they belong in that corps or not. And then, basically, we're going to surmise which is their most likely corps they belong to. So, to get the obvious one out of the way, as it currently stands, Jiraiya would be a Black Lantern because he's already dead. Although there is some theories about the one character from Boruto who has Rasengan Fire Jutsu and Tojutsu, like Jiraiya did, and he's clearly an older gentleman with a beard and everything like that. So I don't think that's Jiraiya, but whatever. Point being, as it stands, Jiraiya is dead. So we'll obviously be using Jiraiya when he was alive. So take that into consideration. None of these characters can be Black Lanterns, as they are neither dead nor have they died and come back. No, well, technically speaking, Orochimaru was killed, but he wasn't. He still lived on in Sasuke, and then he was sealed away by the Tosca Blade of Susanoo from Itachi. So he technically never died. But he was gone for a long time. But still, he never actually died, I guess. So, I don't know. I guess we can't count him as a Black Lantern then. And Tsunade's just never died. Oh, crud. I just got crap all over my glasses. Well, anyway. Move on to the White Lantern Corps. Technically speaking, they could all qualify, but Orochimaru the least, just because they're alive. And Jiraiya certainly, I actually think Jiraiya would be the most qualified of the three, just because how much he lusts after women and, enjoys the company. And he kind of lives his life a bit more jovially than the other two of them do. So there's that. Now we get on to the main corps. Now, I'm going to say right up front, I'm going to go down the list as I normally do, from blue, the way I see the list go down, blue, orange, and so forth and so on. Just because but I'm going to say it right now, I'm going to start with orange, I'm going to start with blue. The second one we get to, it's pretty much going to be obvious for one of the characters. So blue is the core of hope. You either need to inspire great hope in someone, be filled with great hope, or combination of them, or some combination of the two, essentially. And unfortunately, Orochimaru can't qualify. His hope isn't hope. It's more of a lust and greed, which when we talk about the Orange Lanterns, you will get to the point of that. But no, Orochimaru really doesn't qualify for hope. Tsunade and Jiraiya, on the other hand, both put their, they had hope, and they both put their trust, their faith, everything like that in Naruto's hands. And Naruto gave them faith and hope. So you could make an argument for Tsunade and Jiraiya. More so Jiraiya, because Tsunade's fallen into depressions a lot. Tsunade was depressed for a decade at least, as far as we know. And was just, getting out of the debts and things along those lines. So Tsunade, probably not, but later in her life, you could make the argument. Honestly, Jiraiya stands the best shot, but it's not a strong inkling towards the Lantern Corps. It's just the best shot. Then you get into Orange Lantern Corps of avarice, greed. It never says actually how greedy you need to be, but I imagine it has to be. If there was no existing Orange Lantern member, it would go for the first source of greed it could get to, no matter how greedy it really was. It'd have to be a strong source of greed. But it wouldn't have to be necessarily the most greedy individual in the galaxy. It would just have to be someone who's extremely greedy and has avarice. Hence why when Larfleeze had to designate during the War of Light a few actual Orange Lanterns, Lex Luthor qualified as an Orange Lantern. Because he's never satisfied. No matter what, he's just never satisfied. And that, I think, is the definition of greed in some way, and avarice in this version of, the DC world and all that, is that you're never satisfied with what you have. Always wanting more, not for the sake of, like, gaining strength to protect someone or anything like that, but just for the sake of having more. And Orochimaru is clearly the most qualified candidate, probably among the characters we've gone over so far. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I apologize for that. I can feel that coming up. Of the characters we have available so far in the Naruto universe. Until we talk about the Akatsuki, then we can get into some characters who could still qualify. But yeah, it's Orochimaru all the way for Orange Lantern Corps. Jiraiya is really not that greedy. His lust for women is more just the fact he's a pervert, not that he's trying to, capture women and make them as sex slaves or anything. No, Jiraiya doesn't really qualify for greed. Neither does Tsunade. Gluttony doesn't necessarily count as avarice. Does not. That's why Choji doesn't really qualify for it, because just being hungry and eating a lot does not qualify for being greedy. Gluttonous a little bit, but not greedy. So Orochimaru, and I think that's pretty much where we're going to have to... I mean, we'll still go over Orochimaru, but right now Orochimaru is firmly an Orange Lantern. Then you get into the Indigo Lanterns, the Lanterns of Compassion, and right off the bat, Orochimaru does not qualify. Here's the thing. Even if you go into some of Boruto Orochimaru, who's nowhere near as evil, if evil at all, he's definitely not good, but there is part of him that's turned a bit of a leaf at that, new leaf at that point. As him and Naruto and Sasuke do actually, communicate every now and then. They actually do talk, and he actually congratulated, Hinata and Naruto on their wedding and stuff like that. So clearly Orochimaru's standing has changed somewhat in the world by Boruto and by the end of Naruto. He doesn't get involved most of the time with shinobi affairs, but occasionally he does. I can't say he's very compassionate, though. Not that I don't think he's devoid of it. Like, he's not completely unempathetic. But I just don't know, because if you're going by Boruto and all that stuff, Orochimaru at that point probably wouldn't qualify. Then again, actually, by that logic, Orochimaru during the original series events of the series probably would qualify, because he completely lacked compassion, or at the very least, almost lacked compassion. Completely lacked compassion. He had the most minute bit of compassion. So, he could qualify for the Indigo Corps. Tsunade and Jiraiya, no, just because they have enough compassion in them to not qualify in the sense of being completely devoid of it. But they also don't have enough compassion, I think, to qualify. They got enough crap going on in their own lives. Although, I will say that Jiraiya might. Jiraiya is definitely more compassionate than Tsunade was/is. So, maybe that for Jiraiya. Surprisingly, also no good candidate for Orochimaru. It didn't occur to me until I even said it out loud. Excuse me. Then we have, and now we're basically down to we're just starting to get down to the wire here. We still got the red, we still got the violet, we still got the yellow, we still got the green. With the red light of rage, Tsunade is probably the best candidate of the three. Jiraiya and Orochimaru can get angry, but they're not fueled by rage. Tsunade is known to have a temper. But that doesn't mean it fuels her. I mean, she was more fueled by sorrow and grief and regret than actual anger over Dan and Waki. So I don't think we could really I mean, it's kind of like with Naruto and the fox. Naruto's he's like filled with bloodlust and rage the first time he used the fox chakra. So at that moment in time, he could definitely be he could definitely be qualified for a Red Lantern ring, but only during that time. There's other things going on that disqualify him from a Red Lantern Corps. It's kind of the same with Tsunade, is that she has instances of extreme rage, but nothing that would ultimately qualify her. So I can't really say that. None of them really qualify for the Red Lantern Corps. Violet, love, Orochimaru, nope. Tsunade and Jiraiya. Now we know Jiraiya. it's heavily implied that Jiraiya actually was legitimately in love with Tsunade. It's just one second, I'm gonna see if they actually ever say anything on that. But it's heavily implied and almost, I think, almost flat out said, never truly flat out said, that Jiraiya was legitimately in love with Tsunade. However, because of just the way he was, let's see here. Let's see. Because he did propose to her at one point, but because he was just kind of himself, he was rejected. Self became a super pervert. Let's see here. Dry conservative June, despite his self-indulgence, when his indomitable spirit, Dry wouldn't give up, despite the fact, Dry revealed that. Proud's contribution to the world, his ability as a teacher. Yes, Dry has always been a very good teacher. Whenever he rarely is realized, while he rarely revealed to outward, Dry was a greater believer in peace and held deep longing to change the world. So I doubted he believed it. Under his bluster, he remained fundamentally a kind man, who treasured those close to him. He maintained strong faith in the next generation. Not to be confused with actual legitimate hope, mind you. Do they have? Because sometimes they'll actually talk about relationships with individuals on these things. So, okay, no, they don't actually. I don't think it's actually flat out said whether or not Tsunade or Jiraiya actually loved Tsunade legitimately. I believe. Oh, actually, maybe I'll find it in these commonly asked questions. Does Jiraiya have a last name? It's never given. But whatever. How old is Jiraiya? Yeah, they don't ask the question. Well, I mean, you know what? Why don't I ask the question? Was Jiraiya in love with Tsunade? Because that could theoretically, because I don't think if he was, or if he did, was Jiraiya in love with Tsunade? In love with Tsunade? Because if that's the case, then that could qualify, because that means he probably never stopped actually loving her. So Jiraiya may consider Tsunade the love of his life, but he doesn't respect her. Which, when Tsunade falls in love with Dan, but doesn't take it. Okay, so yeah, all right. So he actually did legitimately love her. All right. Then yeah, that could qualify him for the Violet Lanticor. But could doesn't mean it's the most likely, or it would. But that means he could be it. Could qualify for the Lanticor of Violet Love. Tsunade is the best likely candidate for this Lantern Corps, though, just because of her love for her former lover and for her brother, and even the love she feels, for Naruto from a familial standpoint, and Shizune, I'm sure. So yeah, I'd probably argue that right now Tsunade's best core is probably a Lantern Corps of love, and Jiraiya's actually right now Jiraiya doesn't really have a good standing in any of the Lantern Corps. Again, he could qualify for a couple, but none of them are strong candidates. Whereas Orochimaru's got two with Compassion, Indigo, and Avarice, Orange, and Tsunade's at least got the Violet Core of Love. However, there's still two more. And here's the thing. With the Lantern Corps of Fear, the Yellow Lanterns, all the Sannin can qualify for the Yellow Lantern Corps. They are the Sannin of legend, and people are scared of them. Like, ninjas are scared to go up against them. And they're one of the few ninjas that it's openly shown how afraid some people are of them. So every one of these guys could qualify for the Yellow Lantern Corps of Fear. Orochimaru has the most likely chance of the three. Tsunade, just because of her temper, but still, Jiraiya is Jiraiya. So every one of these guys could qualify for the Lantern Corps of Fear. Last is Will, and I'm going to say this. Tsunade, I don't think, would qualify for Will, and here's why. Let me rephrase that. Tsunade could. I don't think she could maintain a Lantern Corps, the Ring of Will, the Green Lantern Ring. Oh, Scott. Yeah, I don't think she could maintain a Lantern Ring, because of all of them, her conviction and will has faltered the most in her career. Now, throughout it's particularly early on in the Naruto series, it faltered the most. Now, later in Shippuden and stuff like that, we see it a bit more, we see it a bit more shown how, stronger Will is. But if you're going to ask me which one of these three is the most least likely, or the least likely, it's going to be Tsunade. And I'll be honest, while she could qualify, I don't think she would necessarily be able to hold on to a Green Lantern ring. But between them, it's Jiraiya. It's got to be Jiraiya. I mean, Orochimaru could have held on to as well, too, but he's also faltered at points, too, when faced with foes that he just can't immediately beat. Or who have actually been able to one-up him and, given him surprise and all that stuff and, actually put him in his place. He's faltered a little bit now and then. But Jiraiya was known for his indomitable will and spirit. And ultimately, that's what the Green Lantern Corps is. And Jiraiya, honestly, is the personification of the Green Lanterns. So, when you break it down like that, all of them qualify for fear. Jiraiya and Orochimaru could qualify for will. But between the two, fear and will, Jiraiya is clearly more will than fear. Orochimaru would be... Now, Tsunade, I think, is actually more fear than love. Not because she never stopped loving them, but because I think she's displayed more... I think she's been the one that people have displayed more fear of than even Orochimaru, but just because of how openly aggressive she is. So I actually think fear would be a better candidate for her. Orochimaru, when I'm thinking about it, I didn't realize how many cores he'd qualify for. He can qualify for the green. He can qualify for the Lantern Corps Compassion. He can qualify for fear. He can qualify for avarice. That's 4. Now, if I were to say, before, say, Boruto, where does Orochimaru lie? If I were to, start to eliminate them, I'm going to eliminate Will right off the bat. I think they're just more... There are traits better suited to his character, like greed, like his lack of compassion at that point, like fear that he instills in people. So there's that. I'm also going to actually nix compassion. Because while he pretty much is devoid of it, there are instances where he does have something that you could consider compassion. Or at the very minimum, he very much actually likes Kabuto for what it is. If he were to lose Kabuto, I think he would actually be a little bummed. I really liked Kabuto. This puts me in a mood. All right, I'll feel this way for about 30 minutes, and then I'll just find a new guy. But he'd probably would maybe not mourn. Maybe that's not the best way to go. Yeah, so I don't think I could rightly say compassion, because ultimately fear and greed are the two ones that are the ones that fit in the most. And if you're going to ask me, I think it's going to be greed. And that's the one I was going with in the beginning. But as I did this more and more, I realized just how many corps he could qualify for. And quite frankly, it's greed, because people started to lose their... I mean, they were wary of him, but they started to lose their fear of Orochimaru the longer the series went on. So, I'm going to have to go with greed, because that's something about Orochimaru that ultimately never changed. So again, the corps that they qualify for most are the Lantern Corps of Greed, Avarice, the Orange Corps, Orochimaru, Green Lanterns for Jiraiya, and oddly enough, the Lantern Corps of Fear for Tsunade. So ultimately, that's where we're going to leave off, and that's what I think. But what do you think? Well, let me know what you think of the corps I put them in, and where do you think they belong ultimately? Put it in the comments below. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And I'll be back with the Who Would Wins, the week of Who Would Wins. There will be Who Would Win What If tomorrow as well, plus the Death Battle prediction, because we got Lobo versus Ghost Rider coming tomorrow. But ultimately, and I'll actually do them tomorrow, not pre-record them, because I'll actually have time to do them tomorrow. Ultimately, though, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in a little while.